Welcome to The Devil's Advocate, where I've learned that the internet is the best place to let loose the deepest, the darkest, and dumbest opinions in my mind brain. All that ignorant shit that pops up and claims itself to be an inner thought, yeah, those. This is where you can find them if you so choose, that is. Most of this stuff is NSFW, not safe for work, well, not safe for reality really, but this is all for fun and games. Just talking shit for talking shit's sake. This video is purely for entertainment purposes and should not be taken seriously at all. Do not use these arguments in a conversation unless your point is just to piss them off. So yeah, don't sue me, even though I don't know if you can. But whatever, this is all jokes, so let's get into it. First of all, the name of this channel is pretty self-explanatory. But for a dictionary definition, this means a person who expresses a contentious opinion in order to provoke debate or test the strength of opposing arguments. But I have a friend here.
Hi.
Who's gonna do most of the explaining?
Okay, I should just start then.
Yeah, I just need people to just get the gist of what we're gonna be talking about today. And I'll chime in when I'm kinda ready to make my point.
Got it.
Good.
So today we're going to be talking about Amelia Earhart, a pilot like no other, and what actually happened to her and her navigator, Fred Noonan. We'll be discussing a few theories as to what actually occurred on that fateful day in 1937.
Yes, some, including us, believe they crashed in the Pacific Ocean, right? But I'll just get all the crazy conspiracy theories out the way. For one, some believe they overshot Howell Island here, continued south, and crash landed onto Gardner Island here. While some theorize that they turned back mid-flight like that and reached New Britain, because someone reported that in 1945 he had seen a wrecked aircraft in the jungle. Despite numerous expeditions though, nothing has been found. Although some in her family are convinced and were citing unnamed witnesses, stating that Amelia and her tag-along, Fred Noonan, were captured by Japanese forces, which just makes no sense, but I mean, it could make sense.
Correct. And the final theory, and the only one that was actually proven to be incorrect, I quote, "In November 2006, National Geographic Channel aired an episode of its series Undiscovered History that supposed Earhart survived the world flight, changed her name, remarried, and became Irene Craigmile Bollum. Bollocks. This claim had originally been published in a book, Amelia Earhart Lives, in 1970, which is based on research by Joseph Gervais. Shortly after the book's publication, Bollum filed a lawsuit requesting $1.5 million in damages, and the book's publisher, McGraw-Hill, withdrew it from the market. Court records indicate the company reached an out-of-court settlement with her. Now that we've had those taken care of, let me tell you a little bit about her. Amelia Earhart is a woman that needs no real introduction.
Yeah, but for the sake of those who are too busy going gang gang, ice creams are good.
Amelia Earhart.
Let's stop a second. Earhart. That's kind of weird. Are you just setting yourself up for something having to do with the sky, you know?
You spelt it wrong.
At this point, becoming a pilot was either fate or, I don't know, something. But yeah.
How?
This is some messed up version of foreshadowing, because maybe if Earhart wasn't her last name, she wouldn't have become a pilot.
That makes no sense.
This is kind of like the story of winner, loser, and their evil fucking parents. Well, mostly the dad. Remember that guy who named his son Winner and Loser?
But,
not to digress this early, but there's this self-centered mofo that basically experimented on his kids' lives. Not to the level of the Tuskegee experiment or MK Ultra type shit. If you don't know what those are, you should go check them out. They're really good reads.
They're not really good reads.
Anyways, mofo got up one day and was like, I'm bored. I'm gonna find a womb to make some babies, and I'm gonna name one winner and the other, you guessed it, loser. His friend was obviously like, why? Why would you do this? Dude was like, because I can, Bob. Because I can. In all honesty, I guess he wanted to test if the name would have an effect on someone's life or the outcome of their life or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, he did it for science. Well, let's get back to the original story. Thank you.
It was for science. Yeah. So at this point, you would have thought that he had twins, right? Nope. So this motherfucker basically made a chick pop one out her cooch, named him winner, and then decided not to stop. But 3 years later, yeah, he had to wait 3 years because guys can't just pop babies out their cooch on their own. They need an oven to bake that shit. Anyways, yeah, 3 more sets of 365 days,
give or take a few,
were spent on this journey instead of throwing this idea away. Yeah, homeboy decided not to stop. As I said, this man waited 3 years and then named his next child Loser. So just to be clear,
you're repeating yourself.
This fucking guy gave his first kid a good name, kept that idea for 3 years, and even the majesty of seeing his child being born did not change his mind, or at least made him realize how fucking stupid this idea was. Legit, 3 years later, and bro still went through with it. The mad irony of the fact is that the father...
Can we get back to Amelia?
Yes, his name was Robert. Normal ass name, right? Right.
Right.
His last name was Lane. Yeah, Lane. Like Lane. Lane. Like stay in your lane type of lane. So when you put that together, these little boys, they were called Winner Lane and Loser Lane. What the...
Oh no.
Yeah. But sadly, another way to think of it is the fact that this fucking guy, just wanted to fuck with his kids for the shits and giggles. Does that say sheets and giggles? Oh my god. Anyways, so this guy should simply not have gotten anyone pregnant. I'm sad thinking of the possibility that guys like this exist in this day and age.
I'm sure they do.
He wasn't ready for the responsibility of another life. Quite frankly, guys like that shouldn't even be getting pussy.
Okay, back to the story.
How did we get here?
According to Wiki...
Most of your facts are from Wiki.
Shut up. She's an American aviation pioneer.
Yeah, which means nothing, really, if her gender isn't involved. Literally, from her list of accolades, it has the word woman beside most of them. Take a look.
You're nothing but a hater. As I was saying, Amelia Earhart was born on July 24th, 1897 and raised in Kansas. She was declared dead January 5th, 1939.
And officially declared dead as of 2024 because, obviously.
Obviously what?
Oh, I'm skipping ahead. Sorry.
On July 2nd, 1937, she disappeared over the Pacific Ocean while attempting to become the first female pilot to circumnavigate the world.
Why, you ask?
Because she could.
And that's where the problem started. A woman thinking she could do things.
Just like a woman.
As stated before, Frederick Joseph Noonan was her navigator on the day that she disappeared, but was declared dead on June 20th, 1938. A completely different date from Amelia.
Please remember this fact because it ties into one of my theories.
Back on topic. In her younger years, her mother apparently did not believe in raising her children to be nice little girls.
Oh, so unconventional. She apparently liked the pants her mom dressed her in.
But she was aware it was a bit weird for girls to wear them.
The mom should have just put dresses on her daughter. Maybe then Amelia would still be alive, okay? She would still be alive today.
No, she wouldn't. It is 2025. Amelia's version of playing consisted of climbing trees, hunting rats with a rifle, and sledding downhill. She sounds pretty cool, right?
Dare to be different.
She and her sisters kept worms, moths, catids, and tree toads.
Not like the other girls.
So, small story. In 1904, Amelia, with the help of her uncle, constructed a homemade ramp that was fashioned after a roller coaster she saw on a trip to St. Louis, Missouri, and secured it to the roof of the family tool shed. Following Amelia's well-documented first flight, she emerged from the broken wooden box that had served as her sled with a bruised lip, a torn dress, and a sensation of exhilaration, saying, "Oh, Paige, it's just like flying."
Well, just what you'd expect a little pick-me to say.
Amelia saw her first aircraft at age 10, and it was described as a rickety flivver. Keep in mind, back in those days, commercial flights were not yet a thing.
So this was a pretty big deal to get the opportunity to go into an aircraft as a civilian.
Amelia's dad tried to get her to take a small flight on the plane for fun.
She was like, nah.
Amelia rejected the offer and opted to go back to the merry-go-round, describing the plane as a rusty thing of wire and wood and not interesting at all.
And I believe the plane took it personally.
What is wrong with you? Amelia was 12 when she first entered public school and started the 7th grade. A little after this, the family's finances seemingly improved with the acquisition of a new house and the hiring of 2 servants.
So, she was just another basic rich girl who followed Icarus, and we all know how that ends.
You need Jesus.
That's my uncle. You know him?
What?
I'll tell you later.
Sadly, her father almost drank it all away. So they auctioned the house to keep his grubby little hands off the money.
Note how you said auctioned the house and not sold the house. That sounds like average crackhead behavior to me. How are you so sure that the dad wasn't the one who auctioned the house to fuel his habit, huh?
This is all documented.
Yeah, but didn't the family move to Chicago during Amelia's high school years to live with her friends? Imagine an entire family couch surfing. That's crackhead behavior.
Whatever. That's not exactly what happened. During her search of the nearby high schools, she crossed one off of her list, complaining that the chemistry lab was just like a kitchen sink.
Told you she was a bitch, but let's not digress.
She chose to go to Hyde Park High School, but in a single semester, she was able to earn the caption in the yearbook, "Amelia Earhart, the girl in brown who walks alone."
Bitch. What? It's all documented.
While her early years were a bit difficult on her, I'm sure her old classmates regretted it, as she became a celebrity in 1928 after becoming the first woman to fly across the Atlantic.
The first female passenger to fly across the Atlantic. She did not take part in the flying process at all. The plane was flown by Wilmer Stoltz, and Louis Gordon. That's why nobody remembers him. Whose names have been forgotten in history, overshadowed by a woman passenger.
Is this what your plan is?
I'm just stating the facts.
So did she.
And that's where the issue starts. The whole purpose as to why she was famous in the first place wasn't even real. She wasn't a co-pilot. She didn't fly anything at all. She sat there, twiddling her thumbs and screaming about feminism.
She literally said it when she landed. She said, Stoltz, did all the flying, had to. I was just baggage, like a sack of potatoes. Maybe someday I'll try it alone. And she did.
You know what? On second thought, she might have been a genius. She took credit for a man's work. First in history. Cheers to that. But I'm just gonna say that's why they did it.
Why did they what?
I'll tell you later. You keep glazing the Becky.
Before we talk about her famous years, I want to outline something that I'm not sure a lot of people knew about her, and this part ties into the development of her love for flying. In Christmas of 1917, Earhart visited her sister in Canada. Here, she spoke with soldiers returning from World War I.
At that time, it was just the World War. No. If only they could see that the third one has already started in 2025.
Can you stop? She heard stories from military pilots, which eventually developed into an interest in flying.
So I guess the thing of rusty wire and wood became interesting after all. And best believe these planes gonna stand on business when she gets in.
These are inanimate objects. They had nothing to do with her death. In early November 1918, She became infected with the Spanish flu while working in the Spadina military hospital and was hospitalized for pneumonia and maxillary sinusitis. Even after discharge from the hospital, chronic sinusitis affected Amelia's flying. And please keep that fact in mind because it plays into my theory.
Don't do that.
What?
Don't tease him. That's my thing. Plus, you don't have a theory.
Yes, I do.
Well,
She's awesome. In the early 1920s, Amelia really took this piloting journey seriously and went with a friend to an air show in Toronto. And story time, of course. A pilot saw Amelia and her friend who were watching from an isolated clearing and dived at them. I'm sure he said to himself, "Watch me make them scamper," she said. Earhart stood her ground as the aircraft came close. "I did not understand it at the time," she said, "but I believe that little red airplane said something to me as it swooshed by."
yeah, it was probably saying, "Bitch, I'ma get you. Hey, why you pulling up? Why you holding back? You should have heard what that trick at See You Next Tuesday was saying about my cousin. Oh, God!"
On December 29, 1920, Amelia had her first passenger flight. That 10-minute flight with Frank Hawk changed her life, she said. "By the time I got 200 to 300 feet off the ground, I knew I had to fly."
And that information was automatically sent out to all the planes to let them know it's go time.
God damn it. The next month, she got an instructor, Nita Snook, and cut her hair short like the other female flyers.
Why? No one knows because she wasn't a pilot yet and it was her first set of lessons, but okay.
It makes sense though. She eventually bought a plane for herself.
Against Snook's advice, against her instructor's advice, and 6 months into her training, she bought an op. We're beginning to see a pattern here, where I must say that her endeavors seem to be all in an effort to serve her ego instead of her actually learning anything. It never ends well. Sad stories have resulted from people who followed the actions of Icarus. Just saying.
The plane did not kill her.
Okay, fine. Theory number 1 out the window. But I bet it was the co-pilot then.
God damn it. After her first successful solo landing,
She thought she was the shit.
she bought a new flying leather coat, but people teased her because it was new.
Okay, let me defend Amelie for a second. Fuck them bitches. Amelie, I got you.
So she aged it by staining it with oil and sleeping in it.
Oh wow, motherfucking rich people problems? Never mind, I will not be defending something so dumb just because it bruised her ego. So yeah, fuck that.
After a few years of her training, this is when she participated in the flight across the Atlantic in 1928. She gained international attention from the press and was greeted like a heroine.
Heroin.
Yes, a heroine for her flight across the Atlantic.
And the trick didn't even fly the plane. This is why they hated her. This is why the shit started. The misogyny and why they killed her. This was the plan. Noonan and all of them.
Jesus Christ.
Of course, we all know that she was killed by misogyny. Yes, she was allegedly killed by her co-pilot because ain't no way a woman is gonna get to accomplish shit if he has anything to do with it.
Now, let's not be childish.
No. Just hear me out. When the 3 of them returned to the United States, they got a parade and met the president at the White House. Yeah, at the White House.
I don't think they would have met the president if she wasn't on the plane, though.
Exactly. Niggas was jealous. She started doing lecture tours, became a visiting faculty member of Purdue University. Purdue.
It's not the same Purdue.
She got nicknamed Lady Lindy after her, slight resemblance to celebrity male aviator Charles Lindbergh. Lady Lindy. The last straw was when she started to support the Equal Rights Amendment.
Oh, and she was also called the Queen of the Air.
No, I'm on a roll. She and her husband, him, right? Jorge. Anyways, had planted her image in the public perception. She sold freaking luggage. She sold stuff at Macy's and other places using her image. She got a position of the associate editor at Cosmopolitan. She was appointed vice president of the National Airways and got accepted as the first woman student of aeronautical engineering at the New York University. NYU. Bros hated her. They were the op.
Not the planes.
No, that remember they were inanimate objects, right? Right, so it's not them.
You don't say.
And she was too blind to see. Blinded by greatness, of course. Bro, she helped to convince the National Aeronautic Association and the Federation of Aeronautique Internationale at the FAI. I have no fucking clue how to pronounce any of these things. But yeah, the FAI to accept separate records for women. Which is dumb, because if you're good at doing something, you're just good at doing something, but whatever. Yeah. And then got involved with the Gang of 99s. You know that crew?
You mean the Organization of Female Pilots?
And became the organization's first president in 1930. On top of that, when the 1934 Bendix Trophy race banned women from competing, she refused to fly some screen actor to open the race. Bro, she had to go. How dare she? Poor Icarus.
Something is wrong with you.
Nah. Alright, let me tell you how it went down. After she passengered her way into the history books with that flight across the Atlantic, she started her journey to the sun and opted to really do it herself, which she did. She flew across the Atlantic on her own.
Right.
So yeah, but here we go. The plan was to fly from Newfoundland, you know, that island off the coast of Canada, to Paris. Remember, Paris is in France, but I don't know what went wrong. Maybe she and her navigator couldn't really do math or something, and they ended up landing in a pasture at Colmore, north of Derry.
Clumo? That doesn't sound French.
It's not. It's in Northern Ireland.
Oh.
So yeah, I feel like they used that as their plan to get rid of her. Probably wanted to make sure that this navigational mistake happened again. And I'm telling you, after she became friends with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, that was it. Because with this flight around the world, if she succeeded, she would have been the first woman to do it, not like a roughly equatorial type passage, because, you know, apparently other women have done it before, but she would have taken the longest flight because, I mean, the longest flight around this world is going to be along the equator. So, Purdue University helped her to purchase a plane for her. Ooh, Purdue.
Still not the same Purdue.
Whatever. Moving along, she chose Harry Manning as her navigator, all right? And he was the guy that captained the ship that took Amelia from Europe back to America after that failed fuck flight. Anyways, but on a test flight, he apparently wasn't so good at navigating because he wasn't able to like calculate their position accurately during that test flight. So yeah, this test flight was across the US, right? He did some bad math, fucked up the navigation, basically putting the plane in the wrong state, right? Amelia and her husband were both on the plane and they had actually recognized the landmarks on the ground, so they knew exactly where they were. And honestly, her husband didn't like that one bit. So yeah, he opted to test him on a night flight just to make sure. And of course, Manning failed. He failed according to the husband's standard. So the husband opted to get another navigator. So through some links in LA, you know, Fred Noonan was chosen, marked his grave at that point. Anyways, and see, this is where the resentment started to build for both husband and wife. Oh dear.
Seems sensible, but a bit overbearing of him. Why didn't he just completely get rid of Manning?
We'll get into that later. So this Fred guy, Noonan, he regularly plans flights across the Pacific for like Pan America's navigators, right? Pan America's is another flight company. Not so important. I'm joking. So this was the plan, right? The flight was to leave America, head west, circumnavigate the world. Now, It's Noonan that would navigate from Hawaii to Howell Island. That's the boss level. Then Manning would continue to Australia. So everything was planned-ish. We got all the navigators, Manning and Noonan, and then they added this guy named Mance to the list of the crew. And Mance is this guy that Amelia started a school with back in the day. But yeah, a flight school. So they're about to make a record-breaking flight, and it's time to head off. But when they tried to do this the first time, they crashed. Both failed, okay? Both failed, by the way. Meaning the attempt to fly around the world and the attempt on Amelia's life.
Shut up.
No, hold up. Let me finish. Let me start first of all, and then I'll finish. Guys, stick with me. Bear in mind, the first leg is from mainland USA to Hawaii, right? All of them were on the plane. Noonan, Manning, Mance, Amelia. Should have just changed their goddamn mind.
Oh, jeez.
On a plane with all the ops. So they tried to do that first leg. Plane crashed. On that first leg, they tried to take off. Didn't work. So they fixed the plane after the first crash and tried again 3 days later. For this next leg, it was supposed to be from Pearl Harbor to Howell Island. Pearl Harbor on Hawaii, right? It's on the Hawaiian Islands. They're going to do this flight to Howell Island. It's a very small island in the middle of the Pacific. It is tiny and it is flat. So remember, first leg from USA to Hawaii, they crashed, fixed the plane. On this attempt, they got a bit creative with their method to take her out. Let me quote the recollection of the day. So, when they were trying to take off, and I mean just trying to take off, a couple of feet above the ground, that bitch ass plane started wilding out, twisting like a motherfucker in the air from left, right. I am telling you, it was crazy. Like it was bewitched, like a dog wagging its whole body instead of just its tail. You know how to do that? Yeah, like this dog. That's the plane. That's the plane right there. So then the landing gear apparently buckled under all that action and broke. I mean, demented behavior. It started sliding on its belly, rocking from right to left, smashing both propellers. It was insane. People still don't know what caused the crash, and the so-called witnesses that were there, they said they saw the tire on the right landing gear blow. But even Amelia thought so too, that the right landing gear was the one that collapsed, but I was there, so nah.
How old are you?
But that slimy little snake Mance was telling people that Amelia just fucked up. Mofo was just laying the groundwork because she survived the attempt, you know?
So he possibly lied. That's not all that creative.
But I didn't tell you how they caused the crash.
Go on.
So after the first failed attempt on her life, they called up my dad asking for a favor. So my dad sent my little brother to handle it. It was a simple mission. He's kind of new to the whole possession thing, so my dad wanted to test him.
I'm confused.
My dad sent him to possess Amelia, but he ended up possessing the plane. Yeah, he's one of those lesser Egyptian gods. There was a lot of inbreeding. I watched the whole thing happen.
No. How old are you?
Why you gotta do that? I don't remember. I gained consciousness a little bit after the third circle of hell was created. My mother put me there to watch some souls.
Your what? Your mother?
Maybe that's why I love food so much. Anyways, the plane was completely fucked, and I swear she should have just ended it there. You don't need to fly around the world. No one does. But she was determined. Right? So yeah, the first try to circumnavigate the world didn't go so well. So let's see what happens when we try again. But this time these guys have probably had enough, right? So, you know, the plane was completely fucked. Like I said, it was fucked. So yeah, I don't know who changed the plans, right? But by the time the plane was repaired, they opted to go the other way. Instead of leaving the US to fly west over the Pacific, they would leave the US to fly east over the Atlantic. right? So this was possibly due to the change in the weather patterns at the time that the plane was fully fixed, but whatever. And by this time, Manning, he's left the flight team, but he's still an op. So it was just Noonan and Earhart now. They didn't tell anyone that they were going to try again. Like I said, they were going east. So they left California, landed in Florida, right? When they got to Miami, that was when they told everyone, yo, Amelia was really going to do it this time. Remember, the ops were still active and had a lot of time to plan this one out properly. They needed her to be lost in the biggest body of water on this planet. They had to make sure that finding her was a needle in a haystack kind of situation. So boom, they leave Miami, get to South America, Africa, hit Southeast Asia, landed in New Guinea on June 29, 1937. Girl was doing it. The next leg though was New Guinea to Howell Island. And remember where I told you where Howland Island was? In the middle of the haystack. That was 4,100 kilometers and expected 20-hour flight into the middle of that haystack. Do I need to continue?
I don't know what to say.
Say nothing, because I am not done. The U.S. Coast Guard had sent a ship to the island to help with communication and navigation and all of that. Along with the technical stuff, she could possibly see the smokestack of the ship over the horizon if needs be, right? Howland Island is as flat as shit and tiny. Yeah, they did everything they could at the time, but it failed to guide her to the island. You know, she was coming in, she was reporting her altitudes, the weather and shit, but all of a sudden, when they started getting closer to the island, the ship could hear her clear as day, but she could no longer hear them. The failure in their communication started with just static at first, but it got worse over time. Yeah.
There's no reason for that.
When she was about 320 kilometers away, she asked them for assistance, right? By finding her craft in the sky and then giving her a bearing for the plane to kind of approach the island. But the guys on the ship, they couldn't find her.
That part is quite unpalatable.
You're becoming a believer.
No, I don't believe you, but it is messed up that the issues they were having finding her aircraft from the ship didn't really help, which was the whole point of them being there in the first place. Even worse, they knew she only had so much fuel left.
Remember what I told you about my brother possessing the plane?
No.
Yes!
Oh no. I still don't believe you. They couldn't tune the radio to the frequency that she was on. That's really what happened.
Ha! Take that excuse if you want, but I'm telling you, it was my brother. So after the first time when she asked for her bearing, not really getting much of a response, she started whistling into the radio. They have their reasons for her doing it, but I can tell you that she was nervous as hell. But she was just trying to keep it cool. Psychological fact, whistling can help calm someone in distress or danger. It can also help people to feel alive, oriented, and can be a way to communicate feelings that are difficult to express in words. So after a little while, she asked for the bearing, and again, let them know that she couldn't hear them. This time, the signal the ship received was so strong, they knew the aircraft was somewhere in the immediate area. But they still couldn't respond over the radios.
They sent it via Morse code though, and she told them that she had received it, but she still couldn't do the math to get the correct position.
I'm telling you, my brother messed up the transition as well.
You have to be kidding.
They needed her to be gone by any means. The haunting part is the fact that the last message received from her was her telling them the position of the plane. But guess who did those calculations? Noonan.
Please leave.
He was the navigator after all. Fucking misogyny, I tell you.
Get the fuck out of here with that. Those guys had nothing to do with her disappearance.
Or did they?
They were good friends of hers. That theory is bullshit. Why would Noonan kill himself?
Self-sacrifice for the good of all men.
For the good of mankind.
No, just men.
Okay, that's dumb. No one would give that much of a fuck about a woman circumnavigating the world. Others have done it before.
Okay. I'ma come clean. Remember all her accolades and accomplishments that she was making. She was making a lot of money. And I know that this might sound a bit far-fetched, but they didn't crash into the sea. They both survived and lived a long, loving life till the end of their days. It was actually the plan for her to disappear from her trapped marriage with her husband. Yeah, no, they didn't crash into the sea. I'm fucking with you. But yeah, my brother told me what actually happened.
Oh God, just kill me now. I'm done.
No, wait, hear me out. So, her husband was kind of an asshole, right? Basically, motherfucker told her not to smile in her professional photos so that they could, like hide her gap tooth. So she should just keep her fucking mouth shut in formal photographs.
He's a fucking asshole for that too, but it was to help her.
You are very delusional.
Me? Moving on, I am pretty sure she was okay with that. He was her publicist after all.
Were you there? Maybe she crash landed somewhere to leave that man. Listen, he was her public relations manager first and her husband second. Okay? Second. So, who would want that? On the rumor mill? Well, at least from my little brother. She and Noonan were in love. But you know her husband, right?
Yes, George Putnam.
And as far as I know, that marriage was just a marriage of convenience. He was a divorcee and proposed to her 6 times. 6 times before she said yes. She called it a partnership with dual control. She did this in a letter that she hand delivered to him on their wedding day. And I got a copy of the letter right here. So let me read, please. And I quote, bitch ass nigga, I need you to get it through your thick motherfucking skull that I will not be a barefoot housewife, nor will I be faithful to you. I'ma fuck who I want. And please know, I don't give a fuck what you do with the rest of your time on this earth. I'ma get me a separate house so I can do whatever the fuck I want with my time left on this earth. Because I don't care how big and pretty your house is, that shit looks like a prison.
That's not exactly what she wrote.
So you're not denying it then. She even kept her own name and laughed when the New York Times referred to her as Mrs. Putnam. Put fucking in there. Blah. Cho. Bumba Okay. And hear this. After she died, he asked the court to have the declared death in absentia 7-year waiting period waived so he could have her shit. What, there was no honeymoon, they never had children. The reason she got away with it and was able to sue was because she did plastic surgery on her face.
I don't think plastic surgery existed to that extent back then.
That is very ignorant and colonizing thing to say about people in the past. People in the past had technology. You need to stop. You sound like one of those archaeologists in Egypt. Stop it!
Are you done? After her disappearance, the US Navy and her husband searched extensively for her. Many fake radio transmissions from her were reported, which was just terrible. It's not a joke.
Well, that shows you that social media trolls existed back then too.
In 2003 and 2006, David Jordan searched but did not find the plane. But the most recent search had thought to have found something good. That's really what triggered this video. In 2024, the Deep Sea Vision found what could be the remains of Earhart's plane on the ocean floor.
Yeah, no, it turned out to be a rock formation. It was a really exciting find, but once again, we have lucked out finding her in the haystack of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, I know we made fun of the guys, but respect to the entire team, and particularly Fred Noonan. He was a hard worker from the age of 17. First setting sail on the Crompton and then navigating across the ocean for 22 years. Their sacrifice is immeasurable and can never be underestimated. During their lives, they promoted air travel and helped us to turn weeks-long journeys into just hours. Sadly, after all the searches and investigations, it was basically concluded that, and I quote, a series of misunderstandings, errors, or mechanical failures are likely to have occurred on the final approach to Howland Island. Noonan had earlier written about problems affecting the accuracy of the RDF in navigation. Another cited cause of possible confusion was that the Itasca and Earhart planned their communication schedule using time systems set a half hour apart. Earhart was using Greenwich Civil Time, and the Itasca was using a naval time zone designation system.
Yeah, and this guy, he basically said, yo, they fucked up. But if I'm gonna be real, countless tributes and memorials have been made in Amelia Earhart's name. Her birth home is now the Amelia Earhart Birthplace Museum. Respect to her and everything that she did while she was a part of this world, as she continues to inspire generations even until this day. All right, and thank you guys for sticking around till the end. I really appreciated this. I have a 9 to 5 so I am not sure when I'll be able to put out another video, but we hope to see you when we do. Continue to laugh at the pain. All right, guys, and thank you again. Thank you. Wait, did her husband remarry?
I'm not sure.
That mother!
Whoa.